Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a bridal makeup tutorial. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and also turn on the bell so that way you get notified every time I upload a brand new video, and let's get started. I do want to put a disclaimer out there that I am not a professional makeup artist, I am not a hairstylist, I am not certified in any form or fashion. I just get asked to do videos on certain subjects, so I try to put my 2 cents out there for you guys. Right now I am trying to let my curls kind of just sit and form the way that I want them to, especially right here, because I'm going to attempt to make it look like a Hollywood wave, but it's probably not going to end up looking like that. A Hollywood wave is just what I did to my hair. I'll put up pictures here and there to show you guys what I look like for my ceremony. There are a couple things that I would recommend doing, getting done, whatever, before obviously your wedding day. Of course, your nails, if you want them to look any, I don't know how to say it, if you want it to look fancy, or if you have a certain nail that you want for your wedding day, I would definitely recommend getting it done about 3-ish days beforehand, so that way they're not grown out or anything and you don't really see any growth in your wedding day photos. I would also recommend, if you want to, make sure that your skin is perfectly prepped for wedding day. About a week or so beforehand, I would go and get a facial. I ended up doing a hydrofacial, and on top of that they went ahead and dermaplaned my face, which is where they take a very sharp blade and they shave off your dead skin, any peach fuzz or anything like that off of your face. And the hydrofacial, you can look up a video on it, but they suck out all the junk out of your face, and while they're doing that, it's also infusing your face with good things that your face needs. But I would do that, like I said, I think about a week or so before your wedding day. If you don't want to do a facial but you are sensitive about having a mustache or anything like that, showing up, or if your makeup doesn't normally lay down properly, I would get a eyebrow razor. I have this one, it's the brand Tinkle. You can get it on Amazon, super cheap. I would take that and shave your whole face, avoiding your eyebrows of course. That way it's a clean, smooth base that your makeup can actually adhere to. I would also go to a brow technician and get your brows done probably about 3 or so days before your wedding day, so that way your brows and your skin has time to chill out before wedding day, but they're also nice and clean for the day. Now that I've talked your ear off, let's get started. So first thing with your base, honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and say this, if you can afford it, for sure, splurge on somebody to do your makeup and your hair for your wedding day. You guys see I'm decently good at doing my makeup, especially my own makeup, and especially normal kind of bridal looks. I'm really good at it, but day of, I genuinely didn't want to deal with it. After setting everything up and doing everything to the venue and making sure that all the parts were moving the way that they were supposed to, I did not want to touch my face at all. So luckily my brow technician, who also does makeup, but she was there doing one of my bridesmaids' makeup, and it looked beautiful, and I was already getting stressed out, and so I was like, Paige, do you mind doing mine too? Because I genuinely don't want to. If you don't have time to, that's perfectly fine. I completely understand. I won't be mad. And she was like, no, of course. And so she jumped over and did mine too. Luckily I had all of my stuff there, so she didn't have to worry about matching me perfectly, But yeah, for sure would recommend hiring somebody to do those 2 very big things for you. Even if you're not the type of person to go out and get fake nails or anything like that, it's always worth it to me for somebody to do your makeup and your hair for you. Okay, starting off, we're gonna go ahead and jump in. I know I've been talking forever. You want to make sure that your base is prepared properly. So the day before, use some form of exfoliator to get all the dead skin off if you don't go through and shave your face. or you could do both. I did both. Make sure that your skin is well hydrated and prepped. That way you can go in with all your products and it's not going to look dry or cracky or just split apart on you. Okay, zooming in a little bit, you definitely want to make sure if somebody's not doing your makeup for you, that you are for sure on what type of skin you have. I would definitely recommend doing your makeup, like what you want your bridal makeup to look like a week or two beforehand, like practice it. So you know how your face is gonna wear that makeup and how it may break down throughout the evening or day while you're like talking and doing whatever with all your guests. I would recommend starting with your eyes first, so that way if there's any fallout of any sort, you can wipe it away and not have to worry about messing up your base. And you also don't have to worry about eating into your wear time of your base products, because sometimes it can take an hour to whip out a really nice glam bridal eyeshadow look. And if you already have your base on, it's going to take an hour away from your wear time on your foundation. I like to do my brows before I do my eyes because I always end up priming my eyelids with a like eyeshadow primer, and I feel like if I use one that's like the P. Louise base, I can use it to clean up underneath my brows after I'm done. I am going to try out this pen. If it doesn't look great, I'm just going to wipe it off. It's the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen. I got it in the shade Taupe. I do have it in the color Ash Brown, and it's like dark on me, so I got Taupe to try out. I always like to brush up my brows just so I can see where they are laying. I am actually growing out my brows right now, so it's gonna look like a little messy underneath here because of extra brow hairs. Just going in and doing like light strokes. This one seems like a lot lighter than the other eyebrow pencil that I have, or the eyebrow pen thing. Towards the end of my eyebrow, I'm kind of mainly just filling it in, more so than trying to do like hair-like strokes, just because I like that look. If you are doing your own makeup on your wedding day, I definitely wouldn't recommend trying anything racy or anything that you haven't tried before, because like you only have like a certain window to get your shit done and get out there. Granted, it is your wedding day. You can cry if you want to. You can spend however long you want to, but no promises your guests will still be there. I think that looks pretty good on the brows. It leans a little warm, but luckily my hair leans a little warm right now, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so those look pretty good so far. I'm not going to put the gel in just yet. I'm going to put the gel in when I'm done or close to being done, so that way I don't get powder all in them, hopefully. Eye primer, you're going to want to choose something that you know works for your eyes. Like, this is why I always say to do like a test run, to do your makeup a few different times before the actual big day, so that way you know what to expect. I'm just going to use my P. Louise eye base because I like how it blanks out my eyelid. And it leans more towards a glam look when you can do that. Okay, so just taking the P. Louise base on the back of my hand, I'm going to grab a flat brush. I think I'm going to use this one, but I gotta clean it. It's definitely time to clean my brushes. I'm going to be using a like flat synthetic cat paw brush, and we're going to pick up some of that P. Louise base from the back of my hand, and I'm going to start about here to get off the extra product, and then I'll go underneath and sketch it out. And this is what I mean by like cleaning up underneath my brows. I'm gonna like drag it down. Just work it all around. And then I'm gonna take my damp beauty blender, make sure it's not too wet, so like squeeze it off into a towel, and we're gonna pounce over that to make sure that it's like an even coating, and it also like softens that line right underneath the brow so it doesn't look so harsh. And you see the difference of how it like blanks out like all of the veining on my eyes and stuff. That's why I like to use a base like this. I'm gonna do the other one off camera really quick. Okay, so that's both eyes primed. I haven't set it yet, but I am going to set it with a translucent powder. Just grab whatever translucent powder you have near you. Make sure I have the powder on this side, but make sure that you have all the creases out of your eye and then go in and set. Definitely would recommend not wearing anything that you decently care about while you're getting ready, because it most likely will get messed up, get makeup on it somehow, or like something will happen. You could always go to Walmart and buy a men's like white button-up shirt, so that way you look cute for photos. Okay, eyelids are set. I did end up using the, or Paige used the Tati Beauty textured neutrals eyeshadow palette on me when she did my makeup, but because you guys can't get it, I'm not gonna grab it. I'm gonna use the Lunar Beauty Nude Prism palette. I use this a lot because it just genuinely has so many great like neutral colors and it blends beautifully. I just feel like it's a palette that like anybody can use, you know. If you are doing your own makeup, make sure that you clean your makeup brushes, I would say about 2 days beforehand, so that way you know that they're nice and clean and they will be dry in time for you to use them. I'm just going to use a decently big fluffy blending brush. This is the Morphe M441, and I'm going to dip into, honestly, I'm just going to dip into Vibes because that's my go-to like crease color. I use it very often. Make sure you are tapping off your brush so you don't get an explosion of color and you have like no way to knock it out, you know what I mean? I always kind of try to make sure that I stamp on whatever shape I want, just so I get a guide of where I want it to be. Just build this color up to whatever opacity you want. We're just really working this into the crease, bringing it up decently far. Build it up just like that. I am going to end up dipping into my translucent powder and go around the edges to like blow it out way further. Like, let me show you. Okay, so taking a clean brush, this is the same type of brush, it's just clean. I'm going to grab up some of my translucent powder and I'm going to go over the edges. Using the translucent powder, it's an easier way to diffuse without adding more pigment. You can always add more pigment, it's just super hard to take away pigment once it's already added. You see what I mean? It's just blowing it out even more. Let me catch the other side up real quick. Okay, so now that we have that color down and then we also diffused it with the translucent powder, we're going to start inching our way darker. Now, depending on the time of year that you are having your wedding, when we got married at the courthouse, it was in March, and then when we finally got our wedding shebang, we did it in November. So it really depends on what time of year you're doing stuff, on how your color palette could lean, or you could just go straight up neutral all the way through. I think I'm going to try my best to stay in the neutral tones. So I'm going to grab up Classic. Remember, tap off your brush. And I'm going to start placing this on the outer corner. We're just trying to be very gentle on how much pigment we add. I do think it would also be helpful too that if you practice doing your makeup, you should have somebody take your photos with flash photography. Even if it's just like your cell phone, turn the flash on, take a selfie, so that way you can see how your makeup looks with flash on. Because of course you want to avoid flashback, but you also want to make sure that like all the work that you're putting in to your eyeshadow and stuff like that is going to actually show up on camera. Because if you do too light of an eyeshadow look, it may be drowned out by the flash. I'm just really rocking this back and forth on the outer corner and then up into the crease, but only in the outer corner, just so we can have that laid down and we can go in a little bit and like diffuse it. Now that we have that color down, I'm going to grab the brush that we use for Vibes, pick up a little bit of Vibes, and then blend out the edges just a little bit. Just like that. Okay, and as I'm getting darker, I'm getting smaller and smaller brushes, so that way it's not gonna be like wabam color. This brush is a M456. I'm gonna dip into Moody, but I'm just getting it on the tip of my brush. And then I'm going to pat it off. And we're gonna add this to the very outer corner as well. Just being careful not to add too much because it is a decently dark shade for my skin tone. Just like that. That looks really pretty. I also forgot to mention, I would schedule whether you're doing your makeup or somebody else is doing your makeup. Give yourself about 2 hours to do your makeup so that way you can just chill and vibe and not have to worry about rushing, especially if you're wanting any sort of like glam at all. Okay, picking up a little bit of Classic. Tapping that over the edges of Moody. Mainly just caring about like the top part of it and the outer side of it because like the inner side I don't really care. It'll eventually get covered up by like me kind of cutting my crease or doing something like that. I'm grabbing a little bit of Vibes. As you guys probably noticed by now, this is my trend. I try to go darker, but then I also go back and blend in the lighter shades as well, so that way it's more of a seamless blend. And then the translucent powder to blend out those edges. Okay, so that looks really good. Yeah, I'm gonna go in with Laura. That's what Laura looks like. I'm gonna use another cat paw brush, but this one's like for actually like for powder. This is the M166, and I'm going to pick up Laura. Just so we don't have like an ass ton of fallout, I'm going to take some setting spray, just whatever setting spray you have, and I'm going to spritz the end of the brush. And this helps limit the amount of fallout that you get. It is a like metallic glitter shade, so you probably will still get fallout, but you can wipe that off. That's why we do our eyes first. And just smoothing it over the edges of like the actual matte eyeshadows. If you don't want a glittery, sparkly like eye for your bridal makeup, you can always go in with a matte, your skin tone eyeshadow. That way your inner corner is still like nice and bright, but it's not glittery. Okay, now that we have that down, I'm going to take our tiny little brush again, and I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of Moody on the tip of the brush, and we're just going to reinforce the darkness over here, but we're stamping it down this time. We're not going to blend, because if you blend it'll make the glitter go everywhere. Just light little taps. You see the difference? It also helps too to like look down while you're doing it into your handheld mirror, but I also think that it's very beneficial to have a handheld mirror so you can see up close, but also a far away mirror. Like I have a mirror sitting in front of me that's like maybe 3 feet away, so that way I can see from a distance like what other people are seeing, versus nobody's going to be this close to your face, you know? Other than your partner that you are marrying, nobody should be that close to your face. And quite honestly, your partner knew what they were signing up for, so. Okay, so getting up nice and close so you guys can see that shimmer. So pretty. Grabbing a face wipe. We're going to clean up any and all fallout because you definitely don't want glitter in your base. Okay, now's when we're going to start diving into our base. And again, you definitely need to know what your skin type is so you can cater to that and make sure that your base can last all day long. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to go in base-wise is with my She Glam, what's this called? Birthday Skin Primer. I really liked this when I tried it out. I just didn't very much like it with the Skinfluencer foundation mixed together because it was just way too hydrating, especially for the summertime. I just grabbed, it's really not that much, it's just spread out over my finger. I'm going to rub it in my hands and then start working it into my base. Got that rubbed in. I'm just going to grab my sponge and kind of like press over it to soak up any extra product, just in case we have too much. I don't want that to be an issue. I'm also going to take my e.l.f., what's this called? Halo Glow Liquid Filter Looks like this. I got the shade light medium, and I'm gonna place that all over my face so we can have that like inner glow from within look.
Oh no, it's all on your now.
Okay.
You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous. Oh God.
Okay, so I blended that in with a sponge. What I used on my wedding day was the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation, and I have the shade Light Medium 8. Looks like this. Using a sponge to blend this in as well. This is one of those foundations that's very much like Your Skin but better. It definitely wore beautifully throughout the day. So highly recommend. It's slightly pricey, I think it's like 68 bucks, but to me it's worth it. Because we did already do our brows, I am going to take the synthetic brush that I used for my eye base, and I'm going to pick up some of the foundation off the back of my hand, and I'm going to go around my brows, just so we can make sure that it's still covered all the way around the brows, but it's not gonna mess up the shape that we already have. After I do that, I go around it very carefully with my sponge to just blend it all in together. That's what that foundation looks like. It's slightly a little too yellow for me, but for demonstration purposes, it does the job, you know. That's what we look like. I'm going to cream contour slash bronze first before I do my concealer, so that way if it gets a little too heavy-handed or carried away, I can always go in with my concealer and brighten it up and make it lighter again. For this, I'm going to be mixing 2 shades of the LA Girl Pro Conceal. This is what they look like. One was like really, really light, and one was like way too stupidly dark for me, so I decided to just keep them and mix them together. The ratio I use normally is about half and half. Half of the lighter shade, half of the darker shade. And I do this on the back of my hand as well, so that way I can judge on how much product I need on my face instead of putting on too much and being like, oh shit, how do I take this off without ruining everything else, you know? The deeper you get into your makeup, the worse it is for you if you fuck that shit up, you know? It's a lot easier to realize that a shade is not the shade for you if it's not on you. I mean, I guess I should say the easier it is to deal with if it's not already on you. This is like a BoxyCharm brush. Just gonna grab this and start placing. And I do the stippling, stamping motions because I don't want it to like remove my base underneath. And I go over it with a sponge to just make it look more natural. Your wedding day is for sure not a day that you want to have a giant stripe on the side of your face, you know? Doing the same on this side. And I'm going to bring it up on my forehead as well. Contouring is definitely it varies person by person. So that'll be another thing that you should play with when you do like your makeup trials. So just going around those edges again and blending it out. Gonna start doing underneath my chin. I take my contour on my chin all the way back to behind my ear, so that way it's like all solid, you know? I'll blend all this together in a second with a sponge. And taking like the bottom of where I applied that contour and like dragging it down with my sponge. It helps make it look slightly more natural than just having like this chin strap going on. If you are extra worried about it like showing like crazy or anything, you can always underpaint and do your contour underneath your foundation. Now that we have that down, I am going to use my one size concealer, just the tiniest bit on any like bumps I don't want to show, because this one leans a lot more towards my skin tone. And then I'm going to do my actual concealer. I'm going to end up using the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I can't remember honestly what I used day of, so I have no clue, to be honest with you. So I'm going to start laying this down. I have a little bit of darkness right here on the outer corner of my eyes, but I mainly want to focus the brightness of this underneath my eyes, like in the inner corners, because that's where I am the darkest. Those are the areas of my face that I like to highlight. I am going to take my ring finger and just tap over these areas. I'm going to use my beauty blender to blend these all in. I'm going to use the Glam liquid blush in Love Cake. Blush placement also depends on you, but I feel like most of the time people want to look like snatched on their wedding day, especially if they're wanting like a full-blown glam. So I would keep it up this way. Okay, so now I'm going to start going over and setting my entire base so that way it can stay all day long. So we're going to tap out the under eyes and make sure that there is no creasing. And we're going to dip into our translucent powder and then bounce it on the back of our hand to evenly distribute it onto the sponge, and then we're going to bounce it underneath our eyes. I go under eyes first because that's always the area that creases first on me. Translucent powder is always good to make sure that you aren't changing the color of anything you're putting it over, but it can sometimes cause flashback, so you might want to like dust it off with a your skin tone powder to avoid that being a possibility. Setting your entire face just kind of assures you that it's going to stay all day long, and that whenever you like hug somebody, it's not gonna like transfer onto their like suit or clothing. Just using my sponge to set my whole face, I am still like grabbing the powder on my sponge and then dabbing it off on the back of my hand. Okay, now we're gonna start working on the under eye. First thing I'm gonna do is pick up Vibes, and we're gonna start working that under. In this part, you can just decide on how smoky you want your eye look to be. Just combining it with the upper lid here as we lay down the colors. Okay, so I'm going to grab the very teeny brush and I'm going to pick up Moody on the very tip of it. And I'm just going to keep this right at the lash line, and I'm just going to keep it on like the outer third of my eye, just so it can be cohesive with the top, but not like super dark at the bottom, you know? Picking up Vibes again. I keep wanting to say Good Vibes every single time, and I'm gonna blend that out a little bit. Okay, and then we're gonna pick up a little bit of Classic. We're kind of stamping it over the bottom one a little bit and then up, so we can have like one cohesive shape all on the outer corner. Okay, and then I would probably do a nude liner in the bottom waterline just to open up the eyes even more, just because I like the kind of like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed bridal looks. And then upper lash line, I would tightline with black, even if you don't do like a wing liner or anything, especially if you, just in general honestly, because it'll help make your lashes look fuller. And it can also help blend in your lash band if you wear lashes. I think today I'm going to try to do like a drop of my Duraline into my Maybelline Lasting Drama eyeliner. And I'm going to try my best to do as close to my lash line as possible. So like around now is when you would decide whether or not you want a wing or if you just want the line. I might risk it for the biscuit and try the wing. Okay, so we got the wings on. We managed it somehow. I think they turned out really good actually. Now I think I'm gonna go in with setting spray, and I like to soak my face. So let's let this dry. Okay, so I personally like a beaming highlight on the center of my nose and on my inner corners. So I'm gonna use my Jaclyn Cosmetics Flash Palette. These aren't available anymore, but you can buy these shades individually. So just grabbing like a tiny, tiny, tiny little bullet brush, I'm going to pick up Gleam, and I like to put it at the tip of my nose. And then I bring it down the bridge of my nose, but not all the way connecting to the tip. And tap it out with my finger, just so it's not so blinding. If that's still too blinding for you, take your sponge and just dab it out. I'm just going to take the same shade, Gleam. I'm going to stick this in my inner corner. I'm going to take it underneath my brow as well, help lift the brows. Cupid's bow. And then for the face, I'm not going to do anything like too beaming, so I would just use my Jaclyn Cosmetics Mood Light Powder and Do Me. And I just apply that to my cheeks. I love these powders, especially for like a bridal glow. It's my favorite. I like to take it on the cheeks, and then I also take it like up right here. Now that I did do my powder, I can go in with a brow gel, just like that. I'm going to throw on this lifter gloss really quick so I can hydrate my lips while I do my lashes. You for sure want to make sure your lips are exfoliated and hydrated for the big day. And curl my lashes and some mascara. My bottom lashes on this side are freaking shit, so like ignore those. But got the mascara on, now it's time to start prepping our lashes. If you have any built up glue on your lashes that you want to wear from like trying them out and stuff, I would make sure that you try to remove most of that. These are the same kind of lashes that I used on our wedding day. These are the Lily Lashes in Opulence. Just going to use my Duo lash glue. If you have a lash glue that you prefer, you think that works better, definitely use that instead. You want to make sure that your glue is like really tacky before you apply it, so that way it stays where you apply it and it's not like lifting all day. So I apply the lash glue and then I let it chill until it's mostly dry, and then I place it down. I always try not to move my eye too much when I first place it, so it's not like constantly lifting. I really like these lashes because they are like super pretty and they give you the volume and stuff, but they're also not like super thick to where you can't see through them and see the eye look. I like that they're like outer corner heavy, so that way it kind of gives you that like flare, sultry look. And then I'm going to take this NYX 2-in-1 Liner Lash Adhesive in black, and I'm going to go over the band so that way it's like a double whammy. It like covers up the band but also helps with the lift protection. Alright, we're in the home stretch, so take off whatever you have like hydrating your lips, and then I would suggest going with a nude lip or a red lip so that way it's timeless, you know. So I'm gonna go with a nude lip. If you want more of like an on theme lip, if you're doing say like a fall wedding, you can lean it a little bit more like browny orange colored, but I'm gonna go nude. So I'm gonna use the Dragon Beauty lip liner. It's a lip job liner in 10cc. And I like to like pull my lips as tight as I can so that way I get a clean line. And I start at my Cupid's bow. I would recommend doing some form of like liquid lipstick, something matte, so you can get through the ceremony and kiss your husband or your partner without your lips transferring everywhere. So I'm going to grab the Jaclyn Cosmetics Oh Hi liquid lipstick because it leans more pinky and I am a more pinky toned of a person. Okay, just like that, and that looks really good by itself, but I personally like gloss. Maybe this guy? Now again, don't add your gloss until after the ceremony. And then if you worry about getting lipstick or gloss or anything all on your teeth, and then like catching it in pictures and looking weird, just take your finger and just go before you take the photos, and it takes off anything on the inner rim so it doesn't do that. Okay, so this is a very good stopping point. If you want your inner corners to be more, or like right here I should say, to be more bright, then you can always go in with something like this. This is the Jaclyn Cosmetics, what do they even technically call this? The Brightening and Setting Palette. That's what the inside looks like. I'm going to take a little bit so I can show you guys the difference. I'm going to take the shade Peach, just using my sponge. I'm going to tap it on the back of my hand and then tap it on my under eye. Yeah, you can definitely see that. There's like a very decent difference there. Okay, and then lastly, I would just set your face with something that you think helps prolong your makeup wear. I'm actually going to try out this One Size On Till Dawn Mattifying Waterproof Setting Spray because I haven't tried it yet. It's still in the box. This is what it looks like. It says it's waterproof, sweat-proof, transfer-proof, 16-hour mattifying setting spray that sets your makeup with next level hold. Light as air, non-sticky, continuous spray. About there, maybe? What? It was spraying backwards onto my hand. Is that normal? Has like a baby powder scent to it, which isn't bad. I just have asthma, so like spraying stuff like that in my face is kind of like a ooh. Okay, so I'm going to take my hair down and fix it up, and then I'll come back and show you guys like the finished everything. Okay guys, this is the finished bridal look. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this. I figured maybe it could be informative, if anything, of like what you should do and what you shouldn't do. I think honestly it turned out really good. The hair didn't turn out the greatest. It doesn't really look like a Hollywood wave or whatever, but I mean it still looks cute. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and also turn on the bell so that way you get notified every time I upload a brand new video. And thank you guys so very much for watching. Bye!